Welcome back to the channel. Rarest coins. If you've been browsing the internet lately or scrolling through coin collecting forums, you've probably seen some buzz about the 1971D Washington quarter and the wild claim that it's worth $1.6 million. That's right, $1.6 million. But is it really true? What makes this coin so special? And is there actually a version of this coin sitting in someone's pocket change right now? Let's dive into the fascinating world of the 1971D Washington quarter, its history, its value, and the facts behind the hype. First, let's get into the basics. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American coinage since 1932. It was first issued to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, and the design proved so popular that it became the standard quarter for decades. The obverse features the profile of George Washington, sculpted by John Flanagan, and it remained largely unchanged for over 65 years. Now fast forward to 1971. This was a pretty significant year for U.S. coinage. It was the first year after the end of the silver-clad quarters that we used briefly between 1965 and 1970. By 1971, all quarters were made with a copper-nickel-clad composition, meaning a copper core with layers of nickel on the outside. So the 1971D Washington quarter was struck at the Denver Mint and had no silver in it. In fact, over 258 million of those coins were made, so at first glance, it might not seem rare at all. But here's where things get interesting. With any coin that has such a massive mintage, errors and varieties can occur, and for collectors, those errors can mean serious money. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room at the $1.6 million claim. There have been rumors online and on social media that a rare error version of the 1971D quarter sold for this astronomical price. Most of these claims aren't backed by any official auction records, but they're often based on hypothetical or speculative value. Some of the stories suggest that the coin had a unique mint error, like being struck on a silver planchet, or having a double die, or an off-center strike, or even a proof strike mistakenly made at the Denver Mint. But no publicly verified 1971D quarter has ever sold for $1.6 million in a reputable auction like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers. That said, there are 1971D quarters that can be worth a lot of money. Let's go over some of the most valuable ones. One of the most sought-after versions is a high-grade 1971D quarter with the mint state designation from PCGS or NGC, particularly if it's graded MS67 or higher. While these coins don't sell for millions, a coin graded MS67 can bring in hundreds or even over $1,000 at auction, depending on demand. Then you have the rarer coins. Some collectors have found 1971D quarters that were mistakenly struck on leftover silver plancase from earlier years. If authenticated, these wrong planchet errors can easily fetch thousands of dollars. For example, a 1971D quarter struck on a 40% silver planchet has sold in the past for several $1,000s because that composition was not intended for quarters in that year. Another valuable type of error is a double die obverse or reverse. These occur when the coin is struck with a die that has been improperly manufactured, resulting in a visible doubling of the image. While no widely recognized DDO or DDR exists for the 1971D quarter, it's always worth keeping an eye out, because new discoveries are being made every year. So should you start checking your change for a 1971D quarter? Absolutely, because while most of them are worth only 25 cents, finding one in near-perfect condition or with the rare could mean a serious payday. Just don't expect to retire on one unless it has a verified and dramatic mint error and has been authenticated by a reputable grading company. Let's be clear, the $1.6 million price tag is not based on a known public sale. It's more likely the result of viral misinformation or exaggerated listings online. That doesn't mean 1971D quarters aren't worth anything, it just means you have to separate the hype from reality. If you want to check your coins, look for signs of errors, things like off-center strikes, clipped plan case, doubling in the lettering or date, or coins that look unusually shiny or heavy. Also, consider investing in a scale. A regular clad quarters weigh about 5.67 grams, while a silver quarter would be closer to 6.25 grams. A few grams difference could mean a whole lot of money. So to wrap it up, and no, not every 1,971D Washington quarter is worth $1.6 million, but yes, some examples can be worth hundreds or even thousands if they have rare features, pristine condition, or unusual mint errors. The key is education, patience, and having an eye for detail. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most talked about quarters in recent history, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell so you don't miss any of our weekly videos on rare coins, numismatic history, and hidden treasures in your pocket change. See you next time, and happy collecting. Would you like a shorter version or a visual storyboard to go with it? Welcome back to the channel. Rarest coins. Today we're cracking open the mystery behind the 1,981p Washington quarter and asking the big question: could this coin really be worth $1.4 million? That number has been floating around online lately, popping up on websites, in videos, and across social media. But is there truth behind the hype? Or is it all just internet legend? Let's get into the full history of the 1,981p quarter, what makes it collectible, how much it's actually worth, and whether or not there's any basis for the wild $1.4 million price tag you might have seen. First, let's talk about the basics. The Washington quarter was first minted in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, it became a permanent part of U.S. coinage and ran with the same general design all the way up through 1998, before the State Quarters series launched in 1999. Now let's focus in on the year 1981. This was a transitional period for the U.S. Mint. The nation had already moved away from silver coinage, and by this time, all quarters were being struck in a copper-nickel clad composition. The 1,981p Washington quarter was minted in Philadelphia and bears the P Mint mark on the obverse. That year, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 600 million of these coins, specifically, around 601 million. So on the surface, it's a very common coin. Most of these quarters have been in circulation for over 40 years. That means they're worn down, scratched, and basically only worth their face value of 25 cents. So how does a coin like that end up with rumors of being worth $1.4 million? Let's talk about that claim. Most likely, the $1.4 million figure comes from viral misinformation, either a misinterpreted listing, a fictional article, or exaggerated headlines trying to get clicks. There's no public record from a reputable auction house like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers showing a 1,981p quarter ever selling for anything close to $1 million, let alone over $1 million. That being said, there are rare versions of the 1,981p quarter that can absolutely be worth serious money, just not in the $1 million range. Let's start with condition. In coin collecting, condition is king. The vast majority of coins grade between MS60 and MS65, and even in those grades, the 1,981p quarter is pretty common. But when a coin is found in pristine, near-perfect condition, say MS67 or higher, the value can jump significantly. There are very few 1,981p quarters graded MS67, and collectors are willing to pay a premium for them. One in MS67 might sell for anywhere between $500 and $1,500 depending on demand. Coins graded higher than MS67 are incredibly rare. If a 1,981p quarter ever surfaced in MS68 or higher, it would absolutely grab national attention. That could push the price up into the five-figure range, but not into the millions. At least not without something else extremely unusual about it. So what could possibly make a 1,981p quarter worth huge money? The answer lies in errors and varieties. The U.S. Mint has had its fair share of production issues over the years, and when these errors make it into circulation, they become valuable collectibles. Some of the most common types of errors that apply to the 1981p quarter include double die obverse, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped plan case, and even coins struck on the wrong metal. If a 1981p quarter were discovered that had been struck on a leftover plan kit from another denomination, say a dime or even a foreign coin, and it was authenticated, that could drive the price way up. In fact, some of these rare error coins have been known to sell for thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. Now imagine the perfect storm: a 1981p quarter, struck on the wrong metal, with a dramatic visible mint error, in perfect uncirculated condition, graded MS68 or higher by PCGS or NGC. That coin could, in theory, break records. But as of right now, no such coin has ever been verified or sold for $1.4 million. The story, while exciting, remains a myth unless new evidence comes to light. But that doesn't mean this coin isn't worth searching for. Here's what to look for. First, check the weight. A standard copper-nickel 1981p quarter should weigh around 5.67 grams. If yours weighs significantly more or less, it could be an error. Second, look at the strike quality. Coins with the strong, bold strike and full details are more desirable. Pay close attention to Washington's hair, the eagle's feathers on the reverse, and the clarity of the date and lettering. Third, check for visible mint errors, doubling, off-centering, missing parts of the design, or oddly colored metal might all be clues. Fourth, if you think you have something special, consider submitting it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate the coin, assign it a grade, and potentially boost its value significantly if it's truly rare. So let's answer the big question clearly. Is the 1981p Washington quarter worth $1.4 million? No, not under any verified circumstances so far. There is no record of such a sale, and most examples of this coin are only worth face value. But that doesn't mean it's not worth checking your pocket change. Rare errors, high grades, and unusual conditions can turn this everyday coin into a valuable collectible worth hundreds or even thousands. Coin collecting is all about learning, patience, and sometimes a little bit of luck. Maybe someday a one-of-a-kind 1981p quarter will surface, with an error so extreme and a condition so perfect that it truly does break into the $1 million club. Until then, the smart move is to stay informed, keep searching, and know exactly what to look for. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful or interesting, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos about rare coins, valuable errors, and hidden treasures hiding in everyday change. See you in the next one, and as always, happy collecting. Would you like a voice-over tone suggestion, background music ideas, or visuals to pair with this script? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Rarest Coins. Today we're diving deep into one of the most talked about quarters in the coin collecting world lately, the 1998p Washington quarter. You might have seen some articles, videos, or viral posts claiming that this coin is worth a staggering $1.2 million. Yes, you heard that right, one coin, minted in 1998, supposedly worth $1.2 million. But is it true? What's the real story behind this quarter, and how much could it actually be worth in today's market? Let's break down the facts, the fiction, and everything in between. First, a little background. The Washington quarter has been part of American coinage since 1932, and it originally commemorated the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, it remained largely unchanged for decades until the introduction of the 50-state quarters program in 1999. That makes the 1998 series the last regular Washington quarter designed before the major transition to state-themed coins. That fact alone gives the 1998 quarters some historical significance. Now, let's talk about the 1998p specifically. The P mint mark stands for Philadelphia, where over 896 million of these quarters were struck in 1998. That's an incredibly high number, so under normal circumstances, Most 1998p quarters are common and worth face value at just 25 cents. But, as always in coin collecting, the exceptions are what matter most. So where does this $1.2 million figure come from? The claim likely stems from either a major misunderstanding or a hype-driven story that went viral online. Some sites have listed the 1998p quarter with unusual errors or extremely high-grade conditions as being worth 6 or even 7 figures. But as of today, no public or verified auction sale has confirmed the 1998p quarter selling for anywhere close to $1.2 million. That said, there are rare and valuable versions of the 1998p Washington quarter that you should definitely look out for. Let's start with error coins. These are coins that were misstruck or produced with anomalies during the minting process, and collectors love them. Some 1998p quarters have been found with double die obverses, die clashes, or off-center strikes. Depending on the severity and visibility of the error, these coins can sell for anywhere from a few hundred to a few $1,000s. Another rare variety that's gained attention is the proof-like 1998p quarter. Normally, proof coins are minted in San Francisco with an S mint mark and have a mirror-like finish. But some business strike 1998p quarters from the Philadelphia Mint were struck with unusually fresh dies, giving them a shiny, reflective surface similar to proof coins. These are sometimes referred to as proof-like or PL coins, and when graded highly by services like PCGS or NGC, they can bring in a premium price. Now, here's where the serious money comes in. High-grade examples. Most coins go into circulation and get scratched, worn, and damaged. But if a coin survives in pristine condition straight from a mint roll or set and gets a grade of MS68 or higher, that's where collectors start to pay big money. A 1998p quarter graded MS68 by PCGS or NGC is incredibly rare. As of now, fewer than a dozen examples have been graded that high. These coins have sold in auctions for several $1,000s, sometimes exceeding $5,000 to $8,000 depending on the market and demand at the time. But let's be real, a coin like that still doesn't reach anywhere near $1.2 million. So again, where's that number coming from? The answer likely lies in viral exaggeration. A few online listings may have shown that number as a buy it now price on resale sites like eBay. But just because someone lists a coin for that much doesn't mean anyone's actually paying it. It's a strategy to grab attention, and, unfortunately, it's been misinterpreted by many people as a real market value. No major auction house has authenticated a 1998p quarter worth over $1 million. So, is it impossible for a 1998p Washington quarter to be worth that much? Technically, no. If an incredibly dramatic and unique mint error were discovered, like one struck on the wrong plankett or a transitional error involving silver or gold, and it was authenticated, the numismatic world would go crazy. That's the dream scenario. But as of today, no such specimen has been found or sold. So what should you be looking for in your change? First, always check the condition. Coins in near-perfect shape with no scratches, no dings, and full mint luster have the best chance of being valuable. If you think you've got a perfect one, send it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. Second, look for visible errors. Doubling in the letters or date, off-center designs, or unusual thickness or color might indicate a rare mistake that adds major value. Third, weigh your coin. A standard 1998p quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If it weighs more or less significantly, it might be struck on the wrong plankett, and that could be worth serious money. So let's wrap this up. The 1998p Washington quarter is a historically interesting coin. It marks the end of an era just before the state quarters began. While most are only worth face value, a few rare examples with errors or ultra-high grades have been sold for hundreds or thousands of dollars. But is it worth $1.2 million? As of right now, number. There's no verified sale or proof of any 1998p quarter reaching that kind of value. Most of the hype is driven by myths or exaggerated listings online. Still, coin collecting is full of surprises, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one to discover the next legendary mint error. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video helpful or entertaining, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our future deep dives into rare and valuable coins hiding in plain sight. Until next time, keep searching your change and happy collecting. Would you like me to include suggested visuals or a voiceover style to match the tone of this script? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the more surprising stories in the coin collecting world, the 1997D Washington quarter. Lately, there's been a lot of buzz online about this seemingly ordinary coin, with some posts and videos claiming it could be worth as much as $1.1 million. That's right, a $1.10 turning into $1.1 million. It's the kind of headline that grabs your attention instantly. But is there any truth to that claim? Could a modern quarter, one that you might find in your change right now, actually be worth a small fortune? Let's break down the facts, the real history behind this coin, and separate the reality from the viral rumors. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter has been part of U.S. coinage since 1932. It was originally struck to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, and the design, created by John Flanagan, became a staple of American pocket change for the rest of the 20th century. Now let's jump to 1997. This was one of the final years before the U.S. Mint introduced the 50-state quarters program, which launched in 1999 and completely changed the look of American quarters. So the 1997D Washington quarter is part of the final stretch of the original design series. It was struck at the Denver Mint, hence the D Mint marque, and over 599 million of these coins were produced. That number is important, with nearly 600 million coins struck. The 1997D quarter is by no means rare. In fact, it's one of the more common modern quarters out there. Most of them are still in circulation today, and unless you've got something special, it's probably only worth 25 cents. So why are people saying it's worth $1.1 million? The short answer is a viral misinformation. There are dozens of websites and social media posts that make eye-catching claims like "check your change for this $1.1 million quarter." But the truth is, no 1997D Washington quarter has ever sold for anything even remotely close to that amount in a verified, public auction. The claim is not backed by any reliable coin grading service, auction record, or numismatic expert. So where does the value come from, if any? The answer lies in mint errors in high-grade conditions. Let's talk about those. First, mint errors. Every so often, mistakes are made as the mint. The wrong blank might be used, the dies might be misaligned, or a double strike could occur. These errors are rare and often unique. If a 1997D quarter was struck on a blank meant for a different coin, say a dime or a foreign coin, and it made it into circulation, that would instantly increase its value. Likewise, if it had a visible double die, off-center strike, broad strike, or clipped plankett, it could be worth several hundred or even several $1,000s depending on the type and severity of the error. Second, we have high-grade condition coins. Most coins enter circulation immediately and get scratched, worn, and damaged. But the small number are set aside, untouched, in mint rolls or coin sets. These can survive in pristine condition. If a 1997D quarter is graded MS67 or higher by a professional grading company like PCGS or NGC, it can command a decent price. As of now, a 1997D quarter in MS68 condition is extremely rare and has sold for over $1,000 in auction. That's a nice profit on a quarter. But again, that's nowhere near $1 million. Still, condition matters. The difference between a coin graded MS65 and one graded MS68 can be hundreds of dollars, and only a tiny number of coins make the cut at those upper levels. Now, There's one more possible source of extreme value: a one-of-a-kind, dramatic mint error, like a 1997D quarter struck in silver or gold by mistake. If such a coin exists today and was authenticated by a top grading company, it could break records. We're talking tens of thousands or even six figures in a high-profile auction. But as of now, no such error coin has been documented for the 1997D quarter. So to answer the big question, is the 1997D Washington quarter worth $1.1 million? The answer is number. Not under any confirmed or documented circumstance. No 1997D quarter has sold for that amount, and no known version of the coin is considered that rare. The million-dollar claims are based on speculation, exaggerated online listings, and clickbait headlines. However, that doesn't mean this coin is worthless. If you find one in uncirculated condition or with a clear and dramatic mint error, you could be holding a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. It all comes down to condition, rarity, and authentication. So here's what you should do. First, check the coin's condition. Does it look brand new? Does it have full detail and no visible scratches? If so, you may want to have it graded. Second, weigh it. A standard 1997D quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If yours weighs significantly more or less, that could be a sign it's struck on the wrong plankett. Third, look closely under magnification. Any doubling in the date or lettering? Any off-center design? These signs of mint error could turn a common coin into a valuable collectible. And finally, if you think you've found something truly special, send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate it, assign a grade, and help you understand its true market value. So while the dream of a $1.1 million 1997D quarter is almost certainly a myth, there are still valuable coins out there to be discovered. And the best part is they could be sitting in your pocket right now. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more videos on rare coins, valuable errors, and hidden treasures in everyday change, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. Until next time, keep checking your change, because sometimes the smallest coins can hold the biggest surprises. Would you like a visual storyboard or suggestions for B-roll and coin close-ups to match this script? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a closer look at a coin that has been causing a lot of buzz on the internet lately, the 1990D Washington quarter. You might have seen headlines or videos saying that this coin, which you could easily find in your change, is worth up to $1.2 million. It's the kind of claim that stops you in your tracks. $1.25 turning into over $1 million? Sounds too good to be true, right? So in this video, we're going to unpack the full story. We'll talk about the real history of the 1990D quarter, how much it's actually worth, what makes certain coins valuable, and whether there's even a shred of truth to this $1 million claim. Let's dive in. First, some background. The Washington quarter has been a key part of U.S. coinage since 1932. It was first issued to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, and its design by John Flanagan remained largely unchanged for decades. The obverse shows Washington's portrait, while the reverse features a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings. By 1990, the Washington quarter was still being minted in huge numbers. The 1990D version, which was minted at the Denver Mint and carries the D Mint mark, had a production of over 927 million coins. That's right, nearly 1 billion of these quarters were made. So, right off the bat, it's clear that the 1990D quarter is not rare in terms of mintage. In fact, it's one of the most common modern quarters in circulation. So if this coin is so common, why are people saying it's worth $1.2 million? Here's the truth. That claim is based entirely on internet hype, unverified listings, and sensational headlines. There is no record, no public auction, and no grading company documentation of a 1990D quarter selling for anything close to $1 million. The $1.2 million figure is not backed by any evidence from trusted sources like Heritage Auctions, PCGS, or NGC. What's likely happened is that a coin was listed online, possibly on a resale site like eBay, for $1.2 million, without any authentication, and the listing went viral. People shared it, videos were made, and before long, the myth started to spread. But just because someone asks for $1 million doesn't mean someone's paying that price. Now, let's focus on what can make a 1990D Washington quarter valuable. There are two main factors: condition and errors. Let's start with condition. Most coins enter circulation and get scratched, worn, and damaged, but a few are pulled straight from mint rolls or sets and stay in pristine shape. These are the coins that can be graded by professional services and given mint state ratings. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. A 1990D quarter in average circulated condition is only worth 25 cents. But if you find one that is mint state 67 or higher, it becomes far more desirable. For example, a 1990D quarter graded MS67 by PCGS could be worth anywhere from $300 to $1,000 depending on the demand. An MS68 could push it even higher, but they are incredibly rare. Most 1990D quarters top out at MS66 or below. So if you happen to find a perfect one with no marks, bright luster, and full strike, it might be worth submitting for grading. Next, we've got error coins. This is where things get really interesting. Every year, a few coins slip through the minting process with unusual flaws, and collectors love them. Some of the most valuable error types include double die errors, where the design appears doubled, especially noticeable in the date or lettering. Off-center strikes, where the design is not aligned properly on the plankette. Clipped plankets, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a miscut blank. Wrong plankette errors, where a coin is struck on a blank meant for a different denomination or even a foreign coin. Broad strikes, cuts, and die cracks, all of which result from mechanical issues during striking. Now, imagine a 1990D quarter that was struck on a silver or foreign plankette. That would be an incredible mint error. If that coin was also in mint state condition, with full documentation and authentication, it could easily be worth several thousand or even tens of thousands of dollars. But again, not $1 million. So far, no one has come forward with a confirmed 1990D quarter showing a rare enough error or high enough grade to reach the $1.2 million mark. It's purely internet speculation. That said, there are valuable examples of this coin out there. You just have to know what to look for. Here's how to check your own 1990D quarters. Step 1: examine the condition. Is it shiny, uncirculated, and free of major marks or scratches? If so, it might be worth grading. Step 2: weigh the coin. A normal copper nickel-clad quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If yours weighs significantly more or less, that's a red flag for a wrong plankette error. Step 3: look for visible errors. Doubling in the lettering, off-center designs, missing details, or strange shapes might indicate a valuable mistake. Step 4: consider getting it authenticated. Companies like PCGS and NGC can grade a coin, confirm any errors, and help you determine its real value. So, what's the final verdict? Is the 1990D Washington quarter worth $1.2 million? The answer is no, not as far as any verified, authenticated, or recorded sale is concerned. The $1 million stories you see online are based on misinformation or exaggerated listings, not real sales. But that doesn't mean the coin has no value. In mint state condition or with the rare mint error, a 1990D quarter can absolutely be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Coin collecting is full of hidden gems, and sometimes, the rarest treasures show up in the most unexpected places, even in your pocket change. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video helpful or interesting, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss one of our deep dives into rare coins, collector finds, and real market values. Until next time, keep your eyes open, keep learning, and happy coin hunting. Would you like a follow-up version with suggested visuals or a storyboard to guide video editing? Welcome back to the channel. Rarest coins. Today we're diving deep into a coin that's caused a wave of curiosity online at the 1987D Washington quarter. If you've been scrolling through social media or watching short videos on rare coins, you've probably seen claims that this specific quarter could be worth as much as $1.3 million. That's right, a simple coin from 1987 supposedly worth over $1 million. Sounds unbelievable, right? But is there any truth behind the hype? In this video, we're breaking down everything you need to know about the 1987D Washington quarter and the history behind it, what makes some of these coins valuable, and whether there's even a chance that one could be worth $1.3 million. Let's get started. First, let's talk history. The Washington quarter was introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, it quickly became a staple of U.S. currency and remained mostly unchanged until the late 1990s. By 1987, the coin was being minted in two primary locations, Philadelphia and Denver. The quarter with the D Mint mark was produced at the Denver Mint. In 1987 alone, the Denver Mint produced over 655 million Washington quarters. That means the 1987D is not a rare coin by any stretch. It's common in circulation, and most examples you find today are worn down and only worth their face value of 25 cents. So where does the idea come from that one of these coins might be worth $1.3 million? The answer: viral hype, exaggeration, and often misunderstood information. There are many articles, clickbait headlines, and online videos claiming that certain modern coins are worth insane amounts of money. Sometimes these are based on unverified listings, fictional stories, or extreme speculation. In the case of the 1987D quarter, there is no confirmed public sale or auction record showing a coin of this type ever selling for $1.3 million. But that doesn't mean you should ignore the coin altogether. Like most U.S. coins, the value can vary dramatically depending on condition, rarity, and errors. So let's look at what actually can make a 1987D quarter valuable. First, let's talk mint mint errors. These are coins that were accidentally struck with mistakes during production. Some common types of errors include off-center strikes, double die errors, clipped plan case, die breaks, and coins struck on the wrong metal plankette. If you happen to find a 1987D quarter with one of these rare mint errors, it could be worth far more than its face value. For example, if a 1987D quarter was mistakenly struck on a blank meant for a nickel or a foreign coin, it would be incredibly rare. Depending on the type of error and the condition of the coin, it could be worth several hundred to several $1,000s. Error coins that are dramatic and well-preserved are especially valuable to collectors. Next, we have coin grade and condition. Most coins in circulation show signs of wear, scratches, and fading, but a small number of coins escape circulation and remain in pristine condition. These coins are often graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC and given a mint state grade. The higher the number, the better the condition. A 1987D quarter graded MS67 or MS68 is very rare. Most of these coins top out around MS65 or MS66. If you come across a coin in MS67 condition or better, it could sell for several $100s at auction. As of now, the record auction prices for high-grade 1987D quarters sit in the range of a few hundred to over $1,000 for the absolute best examples. Now, let's imagine a perfect storm, a 1987D quarter that is graded MS68 or higher, with a dramatic and unique mint error, maybe struck on a silver or foreign plankette, and with full documentation and authentication. That kind of coin could, in theory, be worth tens of thousands of dollars. But even then, it would be extremely rare and has never been known to sell for $1.3 million. So what should you be looking for if you want to find a valuable 1987D Washington quarter? Start by checking condition. Look for a coin that appears nearly flawless. Strong luster, No visible scratches or dents, and a full strike with sharp details are good signs. Next, check for visible errors. An off-center design, doubling in the date or lettering, missing elements, or a coin that looks unusual in color or size could be a sign of a rare error. You can also weigh the coin. A standard 1987D quarter should weigh around 5.67 grams. If your coin weighs significantly more or less, it could mean it was struck on the wrong plankett, and that could be worth serious money. Finally, if you think you found something special, consider sending it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate the coin, determine its grade, and help establish a real market value. This is especially important if you plan to sell the coin or keep it as long-term investment. So, let's bring it back to the big question. Is the 1987D Washington quarter worth $1.3 million? No, it's not. There's no verified record, no authenticated error, and no known coin of this type that has ever sold for that kind of money. The $1.3 million claim is likely a product of misinformation, viral storytelling, and speculation. But that doesn't mean you should overlook the coin. Rare errors and high-grade examples can still sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. In the world of coin collecting, knowledge is power. The more you know about mint marks, errors, grades, and coin history, the better your chances are of finding hidden gems. So keep checking your change, keep learning, and who knows, maybe your next find will be one of those rare and valuable coins that really is worth a small fortune. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss a deep dive into the world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and amazing finds. Until next time, happy hunting, and keep looking closely, because even a coin from 1987 might have a secret worth discovering. Would you like help creating visual slides, graphics, or a thumbnail for this video?